Because of the Exclusion Act, it was extremely difficult to start a family and raise a family in the U.S. There were so few women, you couldn't bring any women over. But the people who then were able to come in on the birthright, they could go back to China, get married, and bring the children over. And some of those children were girls as well. So the population of Chinatown began to change as many people found ways to start a family. So by the World War I or so, the first Boy Scout troop had appeared in Boston. Some of them helped by students from MIT and Harvard. And by the 1920s, there were enough for a real Boy Scout troop. So Troop 34, I think, emerged. And it became a very important place for the Chinese to go to camp, to wear uniform, and so on. And in the meantime, in 1916, the Kwong Kow School started Chinese language lessons. Well, the online, as part of its civic duty, supported the formation of Kwong Kow School and provided space for that school. Education is seen as the key to the future. And if possible, we educate our children. So the Kwong Kow School started more or less parallel as the Boy Scouts emerged. That is, the people with families here began to look for institutions that would create community life beyond the family associations and so on. And part of the process of entering, American life itself. In America, free public education is an important part of its history. And just so happened, the first school with classrooms in America was the Quincy School, the old Quincy School on Tyler Street, in 1847. It was a time of immigration, so that the old one-room classroom was no longer adequate. So the Quincy School was built and designed to have individual classrooms and an auditorium on the top floor. It served all the different immigrants that passed through the South Cove, starting with probably the English settlers, then the Irish, then some Jews, some others, and then most importantly, the Syrians and the Chinese. And if you look at the class photos over time, you can see the ratio changing as the Syrians moved out of South Cove and the Chinese moved in. So I would say by about 1950, Quincy School was mainly Chinese. But it had served its purpose over the years for every immigrant group. And the Chinese were the last group to go before they built the new Quincy School. The first MIT student from Chinatown was a Moy from about the 1920s. And Mr. Moy went to English High. Mr. Moy became the head of the schoolboy corps, as they call it. And he went on to MIT. You began to get a few people filtering up through this process. People did their hard work so that their kids could go to school, so that the kids could get the education and have a better life. But that created all kinds of institutions in Chinatown for that, and eventually the emergence of the second generation who had gone to college began to create the new institutions like AACA, like Golden Age Center. So the growth of Chinatown is not just that people got educated, but that educated people created Chinatown.